Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 1, Brahma Vacha. Yatro Dhyatashit Talo Dharnaya Bhiprata Pronim Tanum Sakalagya Mananta Antar Mahana Upagat Madi Datyam Tam Dam Striyadrim Vajradharo Dadara.
Hare Krishna. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodhaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk.
Text 2. Jato ruchirjanyat suyaman suyagya akuti sunur maranat dakshinayam lok trayasya mahati maharat yadarti swayam bhuvena manuna harirti unukta.
The Prajapati first begot Suyagna in the womb of his wife Akuti, and then Suyagna begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakshina. Suyagna as the Indradeva diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Swayambhuva Manu.
Text 3. Jagye chakarda mrigehe dvijdevahutyam stribhi samam nav virat magatim sumatre uche yatma shamalam guna sangapanka masmin viduya kapilas katim prapede.
The Lord then appeared as the Kapila incarnation, being the son of the Prajapati Brahmana Kardama and his wife Devahuti, along with 9 other women, sisters. He spoke to his mother about self-realization, by which, in that very lifetime, she became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila.
Text 4. Atrenapatyam abhikansh ahatushto datto mayamiti yad bhagwan sadatta yad pad pankaj parag pavitra deha yogardhimi apurubhayim yaduhayayadya.
The great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Haihayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings.
Text 5. Taptam tapo vividloka sisrakshya Adau sanata swatpasa swachatu sanobhut. प्राकल्पसम्प्लव विनष्टम् इहात्मतत्त्वम् सम्यक् जगात् मुन्यो यद्जगतात्मन्.
To create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerities and penance, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 Sanas: Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, and Sanatana. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the 4 Sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages.
Text 6. धर्मस्य दक्षा दुहितर्जनिष्ठमूर्त्याम् नारायणो नर इति स्वतपा प्रभाव दृष्ट्वा मनोभगवतो नियमावलोपम् देवस्त्वन्नङ्गप्रतना घटितुं न शेको.
To exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance, he appeared in twin forms as Narayana and Nara in the womb of Murti, the wife of Dharma, and the daughter of Daksha. Celestial beauties, the companions of Cupid, went to try to break his vows, but they were unsuccessful, for they saw that many beauties like them were emanating from him, the personality of Godhead.
Text 7. कामं दहन्ति कृतनो ननु रोष्टदृष्ट्या रोषं दहन्मुत्तेन दहन्तशर्याम् सोऽयं यदन्तर्मलं प्रविशन् बिभेति कामा कथं नु पुनरस्मनः श्रयेत.
Great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish him, yet they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who is above all this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind?
Text 8. विद्वा सप्ने उदिता पत्रिभिरनीतराज्ञो बालोऽपि सन्नु स्वगतसेवनानि तस्मादात् ध्रुवगतिं गृह्णति प्रसन्नो दिव्यास्तवन्ति मुनो यदुपर्यधस्तात्.
Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward.
Text 9. यद्वेनमुत्पद्गतं द्विजवाक्यवज्र निष्पलुष्टपौरुषभङ्गं निर्ये पतन्तम् श्रात्वार्थितो जगति पुत्रपदं चलेभे दुग्धा वसूनि वसुधा सकलानियेन.
Maharaja Vena went astray from the path of righteousness, and the Brahmanas chastised him by the thunderbolt curse. By this King Vena was burnt with his good deeds and opulence, and was en route to hell. The Lord, by his causeless mercy, descended as his son by the name of Prithu, delivered the condemned King Vena from hell, and exploited the earth by drawing all kinds of crops as produce.
Text 10. नाभे सवृषभा नाभेरस वृषभ आस सुदेविसूनु योर्वै चचारा समुद्रिक जदयोगचर्याम् यत् पारमहंस्यामृषया पदमामनन्ति स्वस्था प्रशान्तकर्णा परिमुक्तसङ्गा.
The Lord appeared as the son of Sudevi, the wife of King Nabi, and was known as Risabha Deva. He performed materialistic yoga to equibalance the mind. This stage is also accepted as the highest perfectional situation of liberation, wherein one is situated in oneself and is completely satisfied.
Text 11. Satre mamasa bhagavan hayashirashatho sakshat sayagya purushap astapani छन्दोमया मखमयो अखिल देवात्मात्मा वाचो बभूवुरुषति स्रस्तो अस्य नस्ता.
The Lord appeared as the Hayagriva incarnation in a sacrifice performed by me, Brahma. He is the personified sacrifices and is the hue of his body, and the hue of his body is golden. He is the personified Vedas as well and the super soul of all demigods. When he breathed, all the sweet sounds of the Vedic hymns came out of his nostrils.
Text 12. Matasya yuganta samye manunoplalabdha shonimayo nikhil jiva nikayaketa. विश्राम स्तेनारुपे सलिले मुखान में विचहार हवेद मार्गान.
At the end of the millennium, the would-be Vaishvasvata Manu of the name Satyavrata would see that the Lord in the fish incarnation is the shelter of all kinds of living entities up to those in the earthly planets. Because of my fear of the vast water at the end of the millennium, the Vedas come out of my Brahma's mouth, and the Lord enjoys those vast waters and protects the Vedas.
Text 13. क्षीरो दधावा मरदान वयुपपाना मुन्मत नताममृत लब्ध्य आदिदेव पृष्ठेन कच्छपः पूर्वी दधार गोत्रम् निद्राक्षरो अत्रि परिवर्त शाणकण्डो.
The primeval Lord then assumed the tortoise incarnation in order to serve as a resting place, pivot, for the Mandara mountain, which was acting as a churning rod. The demigods and demons were churning the ocean of milk with the Mandara mountain in order to extract nectar. The mountain moved back and forth, scratching the back of Lord Tortoise, who, while partially sleeping, was experiencing an itching sensation.
Text 14. त्रैपेष्टपूरु भयः सनृशङ्गरूपम् कृत्वा भ्रमद् भ्रुकुटी दश्रं करालवक्त्रम् दैत्रेन्द्रमाशु कदया विपन्तमार दुरौ निपात्य विददानखैः स्फुरन्तम्.
The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Narasimhadev in order to vanquish the great fears of the demigods. He killed the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with a club in his hand by placing the demon on his thighs and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in anger and showing his fearful teeth and mouth.
The teacher described as a predator has been found guilty of having sex with 2 schoolboys. 30-year-old
6:15 अन्तासरस्यूरुबलेन पदे गृहीतो ग्राहेण युत्पतिरम्बुजहस्त आर्ता आहेदमादि पुरुषा खिललोकनाथा तीर्थाश्रवः श्रवणमङ्गला नामधेया.
The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted.
Take 16. Shrutva haris smarnarthni ma prameya chakrayudha patgarja bhujadhiruna chakrena kravadanam vinipatya tasma vaste pragriha bhagwan kripyo jahara.
The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel, chakra. With the wheel he cut to pieces the mouth of the crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk.
Take 17. Jayan gunair varjo apyedite sutanam lokan vijkrama iman yat yadda thiyagya shamam vamanin jagrahe tripad chalena yashna mrite pati charan prabhubhirna chala.
The Lord, although transcendental to all material modes, still surpassed all the qualities of the sons of Aditi, known as the Adityas. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi, and because he surpassed all the planets of the universe, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. On the pretense of asking for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land, he took away all the lands of Bali Maharaj. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful possession.
Text 18. Nartho baleryam urukram padasocha mapa shikhadrit vato vibudhadipatyam yo vai prati shrutmritena chikirshadanya datma namanga manasa hare bhimena.
Bali Maharaj, who put on his head the water washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, did not think of anything besides his promise, in spite of being forbidden by his spiritual master. The king dedicated his own personal body to fulfill the measurement of the Lord's 3rd step. For such a personality, even the kingdom of heaven, which he conquered by his strength, was of no value. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. That was nice recitation. So, Jyoti Mataji, can I share my screen now?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So let me know what you see.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see.
2716, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. So, okay, thank you everyone for joining this today's discussion. We're going to discuss 16th and 17th verse from the 7th chapter of 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtati Yam Pravrajantamanopetamapetakrtyam Dvaipayano Virahaka Aju Ava Putreti Tannayatayo Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. So let's chant the verse. Verse number 16. Shrutva Haristamaranarthinamaprameyash Chakrayudaha Patagaraja Bhujadhirudaha Chakreణ Nakravadanam Vinipatya Tasmat Daste Pragriya Bhagavan Krupayonjahara. So let's read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus, at once, the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel, Chakra. With the wheel, he cut the pieces of the mouth of crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk. Purport. The Lord resides in his Vaikuntha planet. No one can estimate how far away this planet is situated. It is said, however, that anyone trying to reach that planet by airships or by mine ships traveling for millions of years will find it still unknown. Modern scientists have invented airships which are material, and the yogis make a still finer material attempt to travel by mind ships. The yogis can reach any distant place very quickly with the help of mind ships, but neither the airship nor the mind ship has access to the kingdom of God in the Vaikuntha Lok, situated far behind the material sky. Since this is the situation, how was it possible for the prayers of the elephant to be heard from such an unlimited distant place? And how could the Lord at once appear on the spot? These things cannot be calculated by human imagination. All this was possible by the unlimited power of the Lord, and therefore the Lord is described here as Aprameya. For not even the best human brain can estimate his powers and potencies by mathematical calculation. The Lord can hear from such a distant place, he can eat from there, and he can appear simultaneously in all places at a moment's notice. Such is the omnipotency of the Lord. So this last few sentences, Prabhupada says, that is which chapter of Bhagavad Gita gives the insight of this. Anyone? Okay, let's go to the next verse. 17th verse. Jayan gunaira varajo pyadite sutanam lokan vichakrama iman yadatha dhyajnaha shmamam vanena jagruhe tripadachalena yanchamrute paticharan prabhubhirna chalyaha. Beautiful verse. Translation and purport. The Lord, although transcendental to all material modes, still surpassed all the qualities of the sons of Aditi, known as Adityas. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi, and because he surpassed all the planets of the universe, he is the supreme personality of Godhead on the pretense of asking for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land. He took away all the lands of Bali Maharaj. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful position. Purport. The history of Bali Maharaj and his charity to Vamandev is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bali Maharaj conquered all the planets of the universe by rightful possession. A king can conquer other kings by strength, and such possession is considered to be rightful. So Bali Maharaj possessed all the lands of the universe, and he happened to be charitably disposed towards the Brahmins. The Lord therefore pretended to be a beggar Brahmin, and he asked Bali Maharaj for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land. The Lord, as the proprietor of everything, could take from Bali Maharaj all the land he possessed, but he did not do so because Bali Maharaj possessed all those lands by king's rights. When Bali Maharaj was asked by Lord Vamana for such small charity, Bali Maharaj's spiritual master, named Shukracharya, objected to this proposal because he knew that Vamandev was Vishnu himself, pretending to be a beggar. Bali Maharaj did not agree to abide by the order of his spiritual master when he understood that the beggar was Vishnu himself, and he at once agreed to give him in charity the land requested. By this agreement, Lord Vamana covered all the lands of the universe with his first 2 steps and then asked Bali Maharaj where to place the 3rd step. Bali Maharaj was very glad to receive the Lord's remaining step upon his head, and thus Bali Maharaj, instead of losing everything he possessed, was blessed by the Lord's becoming his constant companion and doorman. So by giving everything to the cause of the Lord, one does not lose anything, but he gains everything that he could never otherwise expect. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let's chant our Mangala Charana and then we will continue our discussions. So it's a very fascinating pastime, both of them, and both prayers are also very beautiful. We won't have time, but let's see. So Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saavadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जानुलंबितभुजौ कनकावधातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजभरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणा अवतारौ। तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयत्य अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणात्पगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। कथञ्चित् स्खलं क्षुब्धतमजो यदुरवस्थानादिषु विवशानां स्मरणाय ज्वरमरणविषायाम् अपि सकलकश्मलमिदं निरसनानि वचनगोचराणि भवन्ति. So, if we see this chapter here, the end of this chapter, the last verse of this chapter is the reason we are going through this, all the Leela avatar of the Lord. So, Pradhanyato Yanrusha Amananti Leelavataran Purushasya Bhumnaha Apiyatam Karanakashaya Shoshan Anukrama Kramishye Iman Supeshan. So what Lord Brahma is saying is, I have explained the creation of everything, which Karnodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, and all the details of that in the previous verses. It's briefly, then again Lord Brahma explains that in a lot more details later in the third canto. And even it gets more technical when Lord Kapiladev, he starts explaining it to Mother Devavati. Even the conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura has certain aspects of this creation as well. So we'll come to that later part. So where he says, O Narada, now I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord known as Leela avatars. Hearing of their activities counteracts all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart. So what we see here is these pastimes are there in Lord Brahmaji's heart, and he is revealing that to his beloved son, Narad Muni. And that's how we are coming to this discussion here. So, as we were discussing the last bit of this, here, not here, in the 16th verse, these things cannot be calculated by human imagination. All this was possible by the unlimited power of the Lord, and therefore the Lord is described here as aprameya, for not even the best of human brain can estimate his powers and potencies by mathematical calculations. The Lord can hear from such a distant place. He can eat from there, and he can appear simultaneously in all places at a moment's choice. Such is the omnipotency of the Lord. So which chapter of Bhagavad Gita gives us the insight of that potency of the Lord? What is how he is there everywhere? Anyone? No? It's in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So if we see this 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, nature, enjoy, and consciousness, Kshetra, Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. First, Lord gives about the qualification for the insight, to understand this insight, and then he brings all the details about how he knows everything. Kshetra means the field, and Kshetrajna means the knower of the field. Vibhaga, and that's the division. Yog, how that should be connected to our consciousness. That's the gist of this particular chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And here you can see, although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and unmanifested. And all these verses bring lot more details about how the Lord is omnipotent, how he has complete control over everything. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So, material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. So, which verse in the 7th chapter, Lord says, Aparyamitastvanyam prakritim viddhivata. He's saying that material energies and living entities, they are two separate entities, which is what is the lower nature, what is the higher nature. And that's for the 7th chapter, Lord starts explaining that. Let's go back to today's verse. So, Gajendra Moksha, which is a very, very amazing chapter, amazing part of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Gajendra is an elephant and who is there in the heavenly planets, who is with his family, his wives, his children, and his friends, and everybody is there. The mountain where he's there is called Ritumala, and the gardens and everything. It's very, very beautiful description in the in Srimad Bhagavatam. What happens is Gajendra is fully absorbed in his sense gratification, in his enjoyment, and it's very fragrant. That surrounding is very beautiful, and at that point of time, he enters a lake, and in that lake he starts splashing the water and that very pleasant atmosphere, and he's very absorbed in that. At that point of time, a crocodile, who is none other than a Gandharva, who is cursed to become crocodile in that lake called Graha. That crocodile catches the leg of the elephant, and then at that point of time, he makes every effort to call his family, his friends, everyone, and still all of them are helpless. They can't do anything. Crocodile is far more powerful. Of course, that crocodile has a special benediction as well to perform or to enter in the pastimes of this Lord. That crocodile is because of the curse of Narad Muni, because that Gandharva was playing with his wives and his girlfriends in one of the lakes, and Narad Muni was passing by from from that area, and at that time he ignores. He looks at Narad Muni, but he ignores and he doesn't pay proper respects to him. Narad Muni, to teach him a lesson, not because he is offended, that's very important to understand. To teach him a lesson, he curses him to become a crocodile. What kind of curse it is? To be in the water, to fulfill his desire of to remain in the water and enjoy with his family. It's like similar to Narad Muni's curse to Indra, to become a pig and to be with his quote-unquote family. At that point of time, Gajendra finally understands that he is completely helpless, and only person who can save him from this danger is the Lord, is the Supreme Lord. And that time he plucks one lotus from that lake itself. It's described in the Shastra that the crocodile was holding Gajendra's leg for long span of time, celestial year. And at that point of time, he holds that flower and offers his prayers to the Supreme Lord. And those prayers are famous as Gajendra Moksha Prarthana. At that point of time, Lord Krishna comes on his carrier, Garuda Dev. And Garuda Dev travels with the speed of mind. Now, or even more than the speed of mind. But still Lord says that you are quite slow. My devotee is calling for me. And then Garuda Dev increases the speed, and then finally when Lord appears there at the spot, he just jumps from the Garuda's back. And that time he takes his Sudarshan Chakra and cuts that crocodile into pieces, and that Graha, the crocodile, gets liberated from the curse of Narad Muni, and he pays obeisances, accepts the instruction of Narad Muni properly, takes it to the heart, and goes back to Gandharva. So that is the pastime. Now, that was in nutshell. It's a lot more. It's very detailed pastime. The interesting bit here is Prabhupada talks about, however, that anyone trying to reach that planet by airships or by mind ships traveling for millions of years will find it still unknown. Modern scientists have invented airships which are material, and the yogis make still finer material attempt to travel by mind ships. So the speed of light is how much? Does anyone know? What's the speed of light? How fast light travels? 2.98 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. That is the speed of light. Now, into the equivalent of seconds of 365 days is 1 light year. And that much of time it takes from sun rays to travel from the surface of the sun to earth. So you can imagine that's the distance which is beyond our imagination to travel. And Lord is in Vaikuntha Lok, but he comes here on the back of Garuda if there is a sincere prayer by a devotee, helplessness, and with that humility that you are my only shelter. And that time Lord travels here to this material world and delivers his devotees. So our prayer, what is the learning lesson from this? Our prayer should be like Gajendra Moksha. And that is why our acharyas say that Gajendra Moksha prayer should be offered during Kartik, because that is the time when the atmosphere is very conducive. Lord is very merciful. And at that point of time, if we offer the prayers of Gajendra Moksha with that intensity, with that eagerness, then we will get the mercy and the benefit of that atmosphere. So that was about this particular verse. Let's go to the next verse. This is something amazing, the pastime of the Lord. Personally, I relish this pastime of Bali Maharaj. I must have read it so many times, maybe more than 100 times, and it's still incredibly beautiful. My most favorite. So let's discuss that now. conviction of Bali Maharaj is that if he gives everything to Lord Vishnu, he will give eternal shelter at his lotus feet, and that is bhakti. We will come to the point of different levels of bhakti in our different shastras a little later. As we said, we just talked that Lord Brahma is now giving this Leela avatar after explaining Purusha avatar. He says that Lord Brahma is there he comes in this Bali Maharaj's pastimes. It's there in 8th canto. If we read around from 18th chapter to, I think, 24th chapter, it's all about the conversation between Vamandev and Bali Maharaj, then Bali Maharaj and his spiritual master, we can say his guru, in the material terms, Shukracharya. And then Prahlad Maharaj comes, then Vindhyavali, his wife, comes, and it's beautiful pastime. So all the sages are all great devotees, and they love the sweet exchanges between the Lord and his devotees. And these topics are very close to the heart of devotees, because the sweet, loving relationship, it gives the heightened experience of that spiritual emotions. Whereas the creation is relatively very dry. And that's why in this particular pastime, if you read the 8th canto, those chapters 18 to 24, you will see Lord Brahma is there, Lord Shiva is there, Bali Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, and every amazing personalities, the grand personalities are there. Even Lord Kartikeya is also there. And how they glorify the Lord, and how they go back to their own abode with that complete contentment, that satisfaction. And in this, now what happens is Vamandev, the background behind this is Bali Maharaj is a very, very magnanimous personality. He respects Brahmanas. He has learned it from his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj and his father Virochan. He was also very respectful and charitable towards Brahmanas. And in the Vamandev says in the 8th canto that you're glorious. Your father gave his life. He shared his life to give it to demigods. If we read it from different shastras, it says that Virochan was killed by Indra out of insecurity. There was no valid reason for that, but he sacrificed his life to give it to Brahmanas, because they came in disguise as Brahmanas to Virochan, and he was killed. And here Vamandev glorifies Bali Maharaj. He gives a big speech to Bali Maharaj about satisfaction of being satisfied with what we have. Ishavasyavidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat, the first verse of Sri Upanishad. So Vamandev is giving that background to Bali Maharaj, which is a bit of a contradiction, because he has come here to take 3 steps. He has come here as a beggar, because though he is the Supreme Lord, he is following his own rules, as he explains in Bhagavad Gita. And that's the reason he justifies to believe that what he is begging is just for his meager requirements. It's an apparent contradiction, but it's a very beautiful, sweet, loving exchange between his most beloved devotee, Bali Maharaj, and Lord Vamandev. Lord starts with verses saying that this is all for the satisfaction of a soul, and then finally Bali Maharaj says, oh, all right, take whatever you like. You ask, and then I am happy to give. Of course, the Bali Maharaj says that you are. It's in the language itself in the 8th canto is quite amazing, because Bali Maharaj is not very pretentious. He has that humility, but though he knows that he is Lord Vishnu, he says in such a way that you're not intelligent enough that you're asking for just 3 steps. You ask, I'm the king of this universe. And it's a sweet loving exchange. If we don't have that background of the how that loving exchange is, it is easy to misunderstand the wording of Bali Maharaj. He's talking to Vamandev. It's actually the sweetness. Our acharyas say that it is a very sweet exchange between Lord and his devotee. Then when Shukracharya intercepts and he says to his disciple Bali Maharaj that, look, he is Lord Vishnu himself, and you should be careful. You should not give anything to him, because he will cheat you and he will take everything. Of course, Shukracharya is as in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, that he is the most learned scholar of Vedic literature. He's incredibly intelligent, and he's a Brahmana. He knows how Vamandev will steal this, the whole kingdom of Bali Maharaj, all 3 loka, Swargalok, Bhulok, and the Vilaswarga, and everything on the Patal Lok. He explains that, Shukracharya says that he will put the first step in the lower planets, he will put the second step in the higher planets, and the third step that will cover everything, and 14 planets, planetary system, and then you won't have anything. So he is basically giving the synopsis of what's going to happen in this later. Now, Bali Maharaj is a devotee, and Prahlad Maharaj has sown a seed of bhakti in Bali Maharaj's heart. And when Vamandev's description, if you read in the 8th canto, he's so beautiful, and he's just a small boy, but he's so beautiful that anyone who looks at him gets mesmerized, enamored by the beauty of Lord Vamandev. And Bali Maharaj, whenever, when he sees the beauty of the Vamandev, Hari, the name of the Lord, he has stolen the heart of Bali Maharaj already. The devotee's heart, that seed of bhakti has fructified when Vamandev gives darshan to Bali Maharaj. Then now Shukracharya is trying his best to give the justification to Bali Maharaj that what you do, you need not have to give anything to this Brahmana, because he is going to steal everything. And Shukracharya's point of view in that particular perspective is understandable, because he wants to protect his disciple, but for a devotee, it is not agreeable. So we get the situations a lot of times that the situation might be understandable for someone to act in certain manner, but we need not have to agree with that, because if it doesn't fit in the devotional path, then we need not have to agree with it. So that's one of the lessons, very important lessons from this pastime. Shukracharya then he's giving reasonings and he's saying he brings Artha Shastra in the scene, and he says that according to Artha Shastra, this is the justification that you should use your wealth in 5 parts, and then 1 part for your sense gratification, 1 part for relatives, 1 part for others, for charity, and so on. And then he says, then he comes to the point of even niyama agraha. He says that you haven't chanted Om, and you haven't done this, and this is and that is why you can reject. So this here we can see that Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj, a devotee and just a Brahmana, they have 2 different value systems. Lesson here is a spiritual master who is following just the Vedic literature and the value systems from the Vedas, but not the path of bhakti, who is asking to go against bhakti, should be ignored. So that is another lesson from this pastime of the Lord. Now, Bali Maharaj speaks very politely to his spiritual master, because he is a very cultured, very learned scholar, but at the same time very soft-hearted, very wonderful devotee. And he is in a very interesting, or we can say very difficult situation, because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to offend his spiritual master, but he is a devotee. His ultimate desire is to surrender to the Supreme Lord, Vamandev, to his worshipable deity, his Aradhya Deva. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj wants from his grandson. He has planted that seed. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says, talks about actually Bali Maharaj, who are the 3 personalities who are Kripa Siddha, who received the mercy of a pure devotee. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says, Kripa Siddha Yajna Patni Virochani Shukadaya. So, who are the Kripa Siddhas? Yajna Patni means the wives of the Brahmanas. Second, Virochani, son of Virochan, who is Bali Maharaj. And third one is Shukadaya, who received the mercy from his father, Vyasadeva. Actually, Shukdev Goswami, Vyasadeva has received the mercy from Parashar Muni, who is also pure devotee, who has written Puranas before. And it's a long story. We will get a bit diverted in that. But and then Bali Maharaj says, gives the justification that now I am satisfying the Brahmana. How he beautifully used the words to convince his spiritual master. He says that he has come here as a beggar, as we can see. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful possessions, because Supreme Lord has come here as a Brahmana and he is begging. And that's why Bali Maharaj is saying that very politely to Shukracharya, that now I am fulfilling my duty to satisfy the Brahmana, and he is a Brahmana boy, and he is asking for those 3 steps. And if I don't fulfill my promise, if I don't fulfill my dharma, my prescribed duty, and then he gives a justification that the burden of a Bhumi Devi, the earth cannot tolerate the burden of a liar. And that's why I have to fulfill this demand from Vamandev for the 3 steps of land. Now Shukracharya he gets upset, and he talks about the he has given all the justifications about Artha Shastra, and Bali Maharaj is bringing the Dharma Shastra in the middle, because that will supersede the reasoning from Shukracharya. What is for the higher purpose? Example is Yudhishthir Maharaj was feeling viraha, the separation from the Lord once, and he was asking his devotee, asking his fellow members of his darbar, of his kingdom, that what shall I do? Shall I do the Shomed Yajna, or shall I do this? And that's how we can call Krishna. And Narad Muni observes that tendency of lying. But for the higher purpose, for bhakti, if somebody is lying or somebody is giving the justification for the level of, for the path of surrender, that is accepted. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a very beautiful details about the different types of levels of Shastra and justification in our scriptures. The first one is Artha Shastra, which is very basic, how to earn money, and in a rightful claim. Second is a Niti Shastra, the moral code of conduct. The third one is Dharma Shastra, the religious code of conduct. But the last one is Bhakti Shastra, devotional code of conduct. And here Bali Maharaj is bringing the devotional code of conduct, but he is giving that under the envelope of Dharma Shastra to his spiritual master, because that's the language Shukracharya will accept, he will understand. And it's a very, very fascinating pastime of the Lord. Oh, we have only 10-12 minutes. We have some more to cover. Now, Yudhishthir Maharaj was also, though he is a Dharmaraj, he was making that plan for the association of Krishna, how he can call his Lord. And that is, he is also using Dharma Shastra for his path of bhakti, for his devotion. And that is another classic example from our scriptures. So here comes the point that different Shastras have different natures in our Vedic scriptures. What are all the four basic topics covered, or four levels of justifications, or for four levels of principles covered in all our Shastras? One is rejection, what we should not do. Second is a common recommendation, what should be done. Third one is a concession of that for that particular set of Shastra. And the fourth one, which is the last one, is ultimate conclusion of the Shastra. Let's take the example of Mahabharata. Conclusion of Mahabharata, the ultimate conclusion of Mahabharata is mukti, liberation, salvation. How? By following Varnashram Dharma. Common recommendation of Mahabharata is to follow Varnashram Dharma and enjoy and live very nice life in this world. Rejection in Mahabharata is a sinful life. And in the middle of this three aspects we have covered, three topics. The ultimate conclusion is devotional service, bhakti, is there in the middle of Mahabharata, which is Bhagavad Gita. And ultimate recommendation of Bhagavad Gita is bhakti, is pure devotional service. But Bhagavad Gita gives some insight of pradhanya bhuta bhakti, which bhakti initially Bhagavad Gita talks about karma, jnana, later on, and yoga, ashtanga yoga, and so on and so forth. And that's why Lord says some of the statements. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajyoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushya mad arpanam. So you give everything to me, whatever you do, your karma, your thought process, everything, you give it to me. So it's a mix. Pradhanya Bhuta Bhakti he is giving here. Bhagavad Gita also says that famous verse, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So that's the concession that he's saying. You should not expect the fruits of what you do. So it's giving the higher principles. So Lord gives certain concessions in that. And he gives the aspect of yoga as well. What type of yogi, Ashtanga Yoga, and then Yoga Ruda, Yoga Ruruksha, and in I think 646 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord talks about the type of yogi. He gives the he tells Arjuna, you should become a yogi, and he says that who is the best yogi? And before that, he's talking about why he should become yogi earlier in that. So this comes in Mahabharata. Now let's come to the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is giving us, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Prema Pumartho Mahan. It is giving us the insight of the pure devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam is giving all the stages and the pastimes of pure devotional service. So once His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj was saying that we need to understand Bhagavad Gita, or our acharyas have given the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, the purports and everything about Bhagavad Gita from the what do you call, the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the basis Prabhupada has given us this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, because he emphasizes constantly in all the purports about the pure devotional service. Now, again, let's go back to those 4 points of Srimad in Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the ultimate conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam? Vraja Bhakti. But otherwise, in Srimad Bhagavatam, what we see is pure devotional service. Savaipam Sam and all those verses, if we see, Srimad Bhagavatam is talking constantly about pure devotional service. There are few aspects where Srimad Bhagavatam also gives a concession of Pradhanya Bhuta Bhakti, which is like Karma Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Mishra Bhakti. But Dharma Projita Kaitava Nirmatsaranam Satam. So that's where we can see that glimpse of it. Little bit of concessions, but it brings the devotee back to the pure devotional service. But Srimad Bhagavatam outrightly rejects Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and all that. Now, when we come to Chaitanya Charitamrita only talks about Vraja Bhakti. If we hear the read the discussion between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, go ahead, please proceed. And then ultimately when Ramananda Rai talks about different rasas in Vraja, different mellows in Vraja Bhakti, and when he comes to the final aspect of the supreme love of Ramya Kachita Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita. So that is the Vraja Bhakti, which is the ultimate conclusion, which is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that is the basis. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, he says that we need to understand all our scriptures in the eyes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, because that gives us the topmost goal of devotee's life of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayas, devotee's life is Braja Bhakti. And that's what Bali Maharaj is, but in this today's pastime, Bali Maharaj is his focus, this focus is on pure devotional service. But in terms of the layman's, or in terms of our understanding, our level of discussion of this very highly elevated, very kind of esoteric topics of Vraja Bhakti, pure devotional service is wonderful, but we should take the words of Acharyas as it is, because what they have told us, what they have given us, is from the commentary, which was because they were empowered by the Lord Himself as a Chaitya Guru, and that's how these words have come in existence. So this is what we have in discussions. We have 4 minutes left for 9 o'clock. So that's where we will stop. And yeah. Are there any questions? No questions? Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. We will stop here. I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank
you.
you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.